Today we're going to talk about another type of equations. So last time we learned how to solve first degree equations. Today I'm going to do something quite similar. We're just going to add something to it. We're going to talk about what we call absolute value equations. Just review the definition or the notion of the absolute value again quickly before we move on to absolute value equations. So we saw previously that when you have something like this, for example, the absolute value of -5. What is the absolute value of -5?
5.
It's 5, that's right, it's 5. Or we can say +5. What if the number inside is already positive, for example, 3? What's the absolute value of 3?
3.
3. That's right. So the absolute value is always positive, or it could be 0 sometimes. For example, if you have 2 minus 2 inside, it would be 0. The absolute value of 0 is 0. So the absolute value is positive.
Positive.
That's right, 0. It can't be the absolute value of something. It can't be negative. Okay? It can't be negative. So that's important for today's lesson about absolute value equations. So the reason why we call them absolute value equations, simply because they are equations. An equation that has an absolute value somewhere, maybe 1 or maybe 2. We're going to see actually also equations with 2 absolute values. So there's an equal sign, there's an absolute value, there's some numbers here, inside, after, and also on the other side. So we're going to see how to solve all sorts of absolute value equations. Let's start with some examples. So the first one, a simple example, for example, absolute value of x is 8. So with equations, we always try to find the value of x. So x is unknown.
X or negative x.
That's right. So the absolute value for number x is 8. That x could be -8, or it could also
negative,
be
8 or
what
positive.
x is also, that's right, +8 or negative. So either one of these, if you plug it here, you get 8. You check it. So we say the absolute value of +8 is +8. Also, if you plug this x here, it would also give you 8. So the absolute value of -8, as we said, the absolute value is always positive. So the absolute value of -8 is +8. So we just solved this equation. So this is a very simple equation here, absolute value equation. And we found possible values of x. There are 2 values of x that make this equation true.
So it can be positive or negative. So the example.
So x here, the value of x could be positive or negative. If we plug either +8 here or -8, either way, it would be 8. So we have 2 solutions here.
Both variants can be possible.
Right. So 2 solutions. This equation has 2 solutions. Sometimes we have no solution, or sometimes we have one. We're going to see those in a moment. So that's basically an example, a very simple example of an absolute value equation. We're going to see more examples, longer equations as we go. So there's another example here. Let's say you have, what if you have the absolute value of a number x is -2. The absolute value of some x is -2. So what do you think of this equation?
So we can
is there a number x?
This is not correct, yeah?
That's right. So
Why not? Why -2?
That's right. So as we said here, the absolute value, it cannot be negative. The absolute value of something can't be negative. It could be positive, it could be 0. So there is no number that you can plug here. There's no x that you can plug and get a negative number. This is basically a contradiction. This is a contradiction. There is no solution, basically. There's no x, there's no solution to this. So, so we said the absolute value can't be negative. So we have no solution. It's very simple. So whenever you see the absolute value and you see that it's equal to some number that's negative here, you say no solution. If it's positive here, you have two solutions. If it's negative, there's no solution. And the third case is when you have, for example, x plus 3 or x minus 3 equals 0. So what could x be here? So you can get 0 from this expression.
-3.
Positive
3
3.
or -3?
Positive
Wait.
3. Positive
No,
3.
positive.
Because 0 here, so we can have the opposite of -3, which is positive 3. And if you check it,
3.
that's right. If you check this, if you plug positive 3 here, you'll get positive 3 minus 3, which is 0. As we said here, the absolute value of 0 is 0. So we have exactly one solution. So here you have two solutions.
How do you solve it? How it turns out plus +3? You just moved it to another side?
We're gonna see the steps in a moment. We're gonna see all the steps here. Basically, if you plug 3 here, 3 minus 3 would be 0.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have a positive number, there's two solutions. Negative number, no solution. Finally, if you have the absolute value equal to 0, there is usually one solution. Okay, so this is what we need to pay attention to, this part. So two solutions, no solution here, and one solution in this case. All right, so generally, let's just sum up all these in one little summary here before we get into solving. So basically, in general, all the absolute value equations look like this. We have ax plus b equals some k, just like here or here. So there's always some expression inside, and there is k here. Maybe even some numbers before or after, but when we turn it into standard form, they all look like this. So we call this the standard form. Okay, and again, based on the sign of this number, based on the sign of k, as you can see here, we may have two solutions, no solution, or one. So, so we say if k is positive. How many solutions again when this number is positive? How many solutions did we have earlier?
2.
That's right. This is k. This is k. It's positive. That's why we have two solutions. So k is positive. Again, we have two solutions, just like here. What if k is negative?
No solution.
No solution.
No solution, exactly. So if k is positive, we just check here, then there's no solution. No need to solve for anything. And the last case is when k is 0.
One solution.
Exactly, one solution. That's right. All right, so now, so remember this is very important here. Always look at k and decide whether to solve or not to solve. So if there's a negative again, save time, just say no solution and move on. So let's see the actual steps of solving all of these. One second. So going back So let's see, for example, if you have x plus 4 equals 7. So here we need to solve this for x. So always check for k. This is k. So k is positive. That means we're going to have two solutions. So now we know that at least that we need to find two solutions. And to find those two solutions, we need two equations. To find those solutions, we're going to need two equations. Just one second, let me close this and re-update. So the equation again was x plus 3 equals 7.
No,
So again,
it was 4.
It was
here?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we again, the first thing you do is check k. So since k is positive, this is k.
Yeah.
That means that's right. That means we're gonna have two solutions. So to have two solutions, we're gonna need two equations. So the two equations are basically we remove this, just remove the absolute value, and we're gonna write two equations. One with positive k, and the other solution, the other equation will be with negative k. As you can see, we no longer have the absolute value. These are just simple first degree equations. We solve each one of them and we'll get our two solutions. So these are the actual steps on how to find the solution. So solve like we did last time with first degree equations, subtract 4 from both sides, x is 3. Then also here, subtract 4, subtract 4. So x is negative 11. That's it, these are the solutions. And when you check them, they should work. Why do we?
Now I understand it.
Okay, so why do we say two solutions? Because if we plug either one of these, it should work. So let's do that. Let's check basically these two solutions. So 3 into x. Okay, so take this, plug it here, and we're going to say, is it equal to 7? Then simplify like we did previously, about 2 classes ago. First class, we talked about absolute value, how to simplify it. So we do the inside first. 3 plus 4, that's 7. Is it equal to 7? Then you keep simplifying the absolute value. What's the absolute value of 7 again?
7.
Absolute value of 7 is 7. That's right. And now the other side is also 7. And that's good. So the first solution works. Let's try this one and see how it works. So again, we're going to take the negative 11, plug it here. So you're going to get 11, negative 11 plus 4. Okay, negative 11 here plus 4. We're going to see if it's equal to 7. Let's say, is it equal to 7? Then again, simplify your absolute value. Start with the inside first. Negative 11 plus 4 is? What's negative 11 take plus 4?
-7.
Minus
That's right.
-7.
Negative 7. That's right. We're going to say, is it equal to 7? Back here, the absolute value of negative 7 is
7.
7.
7. That's right.
So the both are correct.
7. And we checked both solutions, so they both work. Okay, so whenever you have a positive number again here, you should find two solutions. Both those solutions should work. If you plug either one of them, they should both work. And again, always pay attention to k. K here is positive, that's why we have two solutions. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's do another problem. Any questions here, everybody, before you move on to the
I
examples?
didn't pay attention from that step here. Negative 7 equals 7.
The absolute value of negative 7
Yes.
is 7. The absolute value of any number is
Positive.
positive. Yeah, absolute value of anything is positive. Okay, that's why the absolute value of -7 is 7. And also we have 7 on the other side, so that's equal. The solution checks out.
Thank you.
Okay, here's another example. Let's say 2x minus 13 equals -6. So what do you guys think of this equation? What do you think of this? Look at the standard
2x
form.
2x minus 13 should be equal to, no, it has no solution
There's no solution, that's right. Why?
because the k is negative.
Negative.
Exactly. So again, the absolute value cannot be equal to something negative. It can only be equal to something positive or 0. Or you can see here that k is negative. So if k is negative, there's no solution. There's nothing to do here. You just say no solution. Because again, k, or the absolute value, you can say the absolute value can't be negative.
Okay.
That's all, okay? No solution here because of k. So always look at k first and then decide, see how many solutions, whether you should continue solving like here, or if it's negative, there's no number. Again, the absolute value is not equal to a negative number. So, there's no number that could make this true. And let's see another example here. Let's say, for example, 3x minus 6 equals 0. Okay, so this is again a standard form. It looks like this. Based on this and this summary here, how many solutions do we expect from this equation?
One solution.
That's right, exactly one solution because we have 0 here. If you have 0, it means one solution. And here, basically just ignore the absolute value. You only need one equation to find the solution. Just ignore the absolute value. Okay, so just ignore it.
We're gonna solve for x.
That's right, yeah. So we ignore the absolute value and simply solve, okay? No need, again, we only need one equation because there's one solution. When this is positive, that's when you need 2 equations. And solve like you do normally, like we did last time with first degree equations. Simple first degree equation, so 3x equals 6 divided by 3 divided by 3.
2.
X is 2. That's right, you can also check it. If you plug 2 here, 2 or 3 times 2 would be 6. 6 minus 6 would be 0, and it will give you 0. So that's basically the solution, one solution only in this case. Okay, so it's all about k and the standard form. Now we're going to see that sometimes you may have numbers before the absolute value, maybe some numbers also after the absolute value, and so on. So I'm going to try to make the equation longer as we go. For example, if you have, let's say, 5x minus 4 minus 5x minus 10, for example. Maybe on the other side, actually before the other side. Maybe 16 equals 1. So here, maybe negative 16, negative 1. So this equation is a little longer. So again, we're going to try to find x. Okay, so the thing here is,
But
before we can say,
negative, right?
before we can say that this is
have
no
taken
solution or not, you see here, this is not in standard form.
Yeah.
So if you go back here to the standard form, we need to
you
have
have
the
to be like
absolute
that.
value by itself. Yeah, so we need to have
Okay.
the absolute value by itself equals some number. So then we call it standard form. If it's not by itself, we need to first isolate it. So this is not k yet because the absolute value is not by itself. We need to isolate it first. So to isolate it, basically we need to cancel that number, negative 16. And then we will see what k is. This is not k yet. This is not k. So we're going to add 16 here. Also here, cancel that. So 5x minus 10 equals, what is that equal to?
15.
15. Now this is the standard form, and that's k. This is k here.
You know, when Professor, when we were in school, they teach us just to move -16 to the right side, so it became +16.
Yeah, that's right. This is where it came from. Yeah, so because initially it's like this. You can do that, that's fine. Okay, so we have 5x minus 10 equals 15. That's the standard form. This is k. So now based on k, how many solutions based on k?
Solutions.
How many solutions do we have?
2 solutions.
Two
Two
solutions.
solutions. That's right. So because k is positive, so we have two solutions. That's right. So now this is k. This wasn't k, but once you isolate it, basically we say we isolate
So I make
absolute value.
5x minus 10 equal 15 and 5x minus 10 equal minus 15.
That's right. So we're going to need two equations to find the two solutions. We're going to need two equations. So basically, we're going to remove this, remove the absolute value, and I'm going to write two equations, one with positive 15 and the other one with negative 15. So 5x. The other one looks like it. Only difference is instead of a plus here, we're going to have a minus. And you solve the two equations. These are again first degree equations, no big deal. Solve the two. First, we're going to cancel the 10, add the 10 here. Also to the other side, that cancels, so 5x equals 25 divided by 5.
Equal
X
5. X equal
is-
5.
That's right, x is 5. And solve the other one, same thing. Cancel the negative 10, add it to both sides. Cancel, so 5x is negative
5.
negative 5, that's right. And finally, divided by 5, divided by 5, x is negative 1. So, as you can see, we have two solutions. And again, feel free to plug them, check them, they should work. Okay, as long as you don't make a mistake here, they should work just fine, just like we did here. Plug them and simplify your absolute value like we did before when the first class. Start with the inside first and evaluate this and add subtract 16 and so on. Okay, so before you can again decide, make sure the equation is in standard form, which means the absolute value needs to be by itself.
Got it.
In standard form, just the absolute value equals some number.
Yes, be
The absolute value, yeah.
Okay.
So if the absolute value is not by itself, we can't say it's in standard form. We don't know what k is. So if now you see a negative here, that's not k. So we had to isolate it first. So keyword is isolate the absolute value. And then based on k, you may have two solutions, one or none. Okay, everybody, any questions about this problem?
No.
No.
Okay, everybody else, we're good?
Yes.
All right, so let me
Yes,
give you
yes,
another
yes.
one. All right, let me give you another example. Let's say maybe 2 times absolute value of x plus 1. Maybe let's say negative 11. And what actually positive 11 equals maybe 1 or 3, doesn't matter. So look at this equation here. It's a longer than the previous one. And again, this is not k. Okay, this is not k. It doesn't mean we have two solutions. We don't know yet. What do we need to do to find k?
You just have to
First of all, we
Hi.
can
solve it.
remove 11,
Okay, and then
Then divide by 2.
and then we
Can you? I'm sorry. All
let her
right.
finish. Let her finish. Hold on
Okay,
one
I'm
second.
sorry.
Go ahead.
And when we multiply absolute value with 2.
So the first part is correct. We need to cancel this, but we don't multiply. Again, we need to get this by itself. We need to isolate it. Okay, we need to isolate it. We do not distribute. We're going to try to leave this by itself, like here. We're going to try to have the absolute value by itself equals a number. So we're going to cancel this, eliminate the 11, and then eliminate the 2. After that, we should have it in standard form. Once we do that, we look at k, we're going to see if it's negative or positive or 0. So first, we're going to cancel this. Cancel the 11. That goes away. So we're going to have 2x plus 1 equals negative 8.
Negative 8.
Okay, so again, do not distribute. These are not parentheses. If you have parentheses, we distribute first. But with absolute value, we don't know how many solutions yet. We need to get this by itself. We need to isolate it. We have 2 multiply the absolute values. How do we cancel the 2 if this is a multiplication?
Divide by
But
2.
inside,
We divide. That's right. We divide by 2 because it's a multiplication. To cancel it, we divide by 2. Also divide by 2 on the other side. So that cancels again. Do not distribute because it might not even be a solution, and you may waste time finding a solution that does not exist or that's not valid.
okay, got it.
Okay, so what do we do now?
Minus
Like,
4.
This is that's
And
right.
Negative 4.
When
So
it
there's
is-
so-
no solution. There's no solution because it's negative.
That's right. So this is the standard form. As you can see, the absolute values by itself equals to a negative. And again, we can stop right here and say no solution. So if you just start multiplying, distributing, and combining like terms, you're going to waste a lot of time, and you're going to basically try to find a solution that does not even exist. No, this one has no solution. And when you find that solution and you waste time checking it, it will not work. So you're going to do a lot of work just to find out that the solution doesn't work. So you're going to solve, and then you're going to find a solution, you're going to plug it. But if you play it smart, you can actually decide like 2 steps in and actually tell that this has no solution. So that's it. That's our for that equation. This one, because we end up with a positive, we continued solving. But if you end up with a negative here, no solution, or if it was 0, you say one solution. So that's the whole idea. So again, isolate. You want to isolate that first. Again, standard form. Okay, let me give you another one. Let's do this is probably as long as you can get the equation. As you can see, we have numbers before and after and inside. Let's do another one. Maybe 3 multiply x plus 6. Some numbers here, maybe 2 and 10. So this equation here, again, do not distribute, okay, because that would not give you, doesn't give you a lot of details. Do not distribute. So again, isolate the absolute value. All right, so let's do that. What's the first step here to isolate the absolute value?
First of all, we have to get rid of
Add 2.
That's right. So we're going to add 2 here to cancel it. Add 2. Or you can just move 2 to the other side and change the sign. That's
Yes,
also
sir.
fine.
Number 12.
That's right.
Renew.
And you
Equation
divide
done.
3 afterwards.
That's 12. Okay, now we need to cancel the 3.
Divided
By 3.
That's right.
Both
Divided by
sides.
3. X
Number
plus 6.
4.
4.
That's right. Equals 4.
Let's have 2 solutions.
That's right. So this is a standard form. Since k, again, this is k, it's positive. So we're going to have 2 solutions. For that, we're going to have to write 2 equations. What are the 2 equations?
Another word for isolate is separate, right?
Correct. That's right. So we're going to need 2 solutions, 2 equations. What are the 2 equations?
x
X
plus,
plus 6 equal 4.
positive
Okay.
4 or negative 4.
X plus, yes.
Okay,
And
one
the
with
other
positive
way,
4.
x plus 6 equal negative 4.
That's right. So one with a positive and the other one with a negative. And again, you end up with two simple first degree equations, easy to solve. This is what we did in the previous class. X is -2, or X is
2.
-10.
Oh.
Right? -2 and -10. And that's it. It doesn't take that long. Again, isolate first. Do not distribute and solve. Pretty simple, 2 steps. Most of the time, that's all you have to do. There's 2 steps and solve afterwards. Okay, any questions here, everybody?
No.
All right, everyone, please let me know if you have any questions. All right. Now we're going to see when you have 2 absolute values. You may have 2 in the same equation as I told you before. For example, you may have something like this. Not just 1, but 2 absolute values. Another one on this side like this. Plus, let's say 7. 2 of them. So basically, if you consider this to be k. So this is one side of the standard form. Let's consider this to be k. This whole thing. So this can either be 0 or positive, right? Because it's an absolute value. So it's either positive or 0. That means this equation may have 2 solutions or 1, because this cannot be negative. This cannot be negative. It could either be 0, in that case, we have 1 solution, or it can be positive, which means 2 solutions. So what we're going to do is we're going to write 2 equations. Again, one, as we did here, one with positive k, and the other one with negative k. So again, if we consider this to be k, so we're going to write one with positive this and another equation with negative this. So we're going to need two equations to get the 1 or 2 solutions. It's pretty simple. Here's what you do. First equation, just remove all the absolute values. Just remove everything, and it turns into a normal first degree equation. That's it. That's your first equation, and you get your first solution from here. Remove all and solve. No big deal. Second one, so basically think of this as an invisible positive here. Just like here, we have positive 4. The other equation is going to be almost exactly like this, but instead of a plus here, we're going to have a minus, just like we did here, plus and a minus. So we're going to rewrite the equation again. And we're going to put a minus here instead of a plus. That's it. That's basically the first and the main step. The rest is just solving first degree equations like we did in the previous class.
Oh, got
Okay,
it.
so the first step, remove all the absolute values. The first step, remove everything. That's the first equation. Then rewrite that equation again, but instead of a plus here, with a minus. That's all. And you solve. So you will have either 1 or 2 solutions. Because k can either be positive or it can be 0. So either 1 solution or 2. And when you solve this, if both turn out to have solutions, then that's when you have 2 solutions. Sometimes one of them may not work. You may run into an issue. One of them might not have a solution.
Professor, sorry.
So in that case, that's when you have 1 solution. Yes, go ahead.
Why on the left side it says 5x minus 3, and on the right side it says 5x minus 5?
That's just a mistake. 5x minus 3 should be minus 3 here. Nothing changes here. Only thing that changes.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Only thing that changes is this plus into a minus. Go ahead.
Is it the same if we consider the left part as k?
Yes, it's the exact same thing. Yes, you could do the same.
Okay,
Instead of doing plus here and the minus, you can do plus here and the minus here. Just flip the equation, basically, it's the same thing. So you may have 2 or 1. So try solving both. One of them might not work, or if it doesn't work, that's fine. But just solve the two and you may end up with one or two equations. So the rest is pretty simple. This is, again, just solving first degree as we did last time. This minus, this plus does not affect this. If you distribute the plus, this will stay the same. Okay, what else we do here to solve this equation based on what we did last time, everybody?
Simplify
What
Add
exactly?
like
Like,
terms.
like terms.
specifically, like what
By
are
the
you
like
doing?
terms.
What do you
What
move? What happens?
So it's gonna be like 5x negative 4x equals 7
Mhm.
plus 3.
That's right. So you're gonna
Minus
move.
X.
That's right. I'm gonna move this to this side, move this to this side. And when you move something, make sure you change the sign. So you have 5x. 4x turns into minus 4x. Negative 4 turns into plus, negative 3 turns into plus 3. Bring the positive 7 next to it. Okay, this is x or 1x, and you have 10. That's it. That's your first solution. Then you do the same thing here. What is the first thing we do to solve this equation?
Equal with this one element.
What is it?
Add
Same thing too.
4x.
No, we're gonna multiply the x, the minus, the negative sign
Open the
Mhm.
bracket. Open the
to
bracket.
That's right.
parentheses.
That's
So it's
right.
gonna be
So make
like
sure.
negative 4x, negative 7.
That's right. So we need to distribute the minus first. Whatever number you have here, minus or negative 2 or plus 3, distribute first. So always, as we saw last time, we clear the parentheses. We distribute first. Negative 4x. And negative times a positive,
Negative
Yes.
7.
negative 7. That's right. Now it looks like this.
Terms.
We're going to move. That's right. We're going to move the x's to one side. Move this over. Move this over. So 5x, the negative 4x turns into positive 4x. Negative 3 becomes positive 3. And negative 7 stay the same. So that's 9x. And negative 4. Finally, divided by 9. Divided by 9. X is negative 4 over 9. It doesn't simplify. That's okay. Reduce your answer or your fraction when possible. There are two solutions. So both of them worked. So as we expected, 2 or 1 solution. So, and you can easily plug, you can easily check. For example, if you check this, if you put 10 here, 5 times 10, that's 50, minus 3, that's 47. Also, if you plug 10 here, it would be 4 times 10, that's 40, plus 7 is 47. So 47 equals 47. That works. Okay, so when you see two absolute values, again, it's pretty simple. Just one step to get the two equations. The rest, again, is what we did last time. The rest, solving, is what we did last time. The only new thing today is turning this into two equations and removing the absolute values.
Can we check the second solution?
Yeah, you can check it, just fractions, negative 4 over 9. If you plug, so 5 times negative 4 over 9.
It's not easy checking.
No, just fractions, no big deal. So this is one of the sides. Okay, so you're gonna do multiply the fractions first. That's 20, or negative 20 over 9 minus 3. Okay, you need to find the LCD. We're gonna multiply this by 9, multiply this by 9 to make these the same. It would be negative 20 over 9 minus 3 times 9, which is 27 over 9.
No.
And you keep solving, okay? So this is 9, negative 20 minus 27 is negative 47. The absolute value is 47 over 9. Then you do the same thing on the other side, you should get the same thing. Okay, when you do the other side, you should get the same thing. If you don't get the same thing, check again, check your signs, check your equation here and so on. Okay, so that's what happens if you have two absolute value equations. It should be pretty simple. Let's do another one. Let's do another example like this. Let's say maybe 7x plus 4 maybe 5x. So let's see, plus maybe plus 10, minus 10. Okay, so there's an equation with two absolute values. What's the first thing we do? Just the idea. What do we do? Just give
Add
me-
5, no, minus 5x
Check two solutions.
from 7x.
Mhm. So how do we get the first equation?
Just
Take the
open
absolute.
the absolute value.
Just remove, right? Remove all the absolute values and you will have your first equation. Okay, that's the important and the main step. The rest is, again, just solving simple first degree equations. So just remove everything basically, and you'll have your first equation. That's it. You don't even have to put that plus here. That's the first equation, that's the first solution. What is the other equation? How different?
It's gonna be negative the other side.
That's right. You just need to add another negative here. So 7x plus 4. Put a negative. Make sure it's in parentheses. 5x minus 10. Again, that's it. That's the new thing today. The rest is just solving equations as we did last time. So 7x, again, move this over, becomes negative 5x. Move the positive 4 becomes negative 4 minus 10. 2x, negative 14. Finally, if you divide by 2, x is negative
Negative
7,
7.
right? Okay, and here, first thing again, distribute the minus. Plus 4, so negative 5x plus 10. And again, move this over, so it becomes 7x plus 5x. Move the positive 4 over, negative 4 plus 10. That's 12x and 6. Finally, divide by 12. Divide by 12 on both sides. Cancel 12. X is 1/2. Reduced it. Reduce this fraction by 6. And that's it. That's how you get your two solutions. Again, sometimes maybe one of these won't work. You will have one solution, but most of the time you will have two solutions with two absolute values. And that's basically how you solve your absolute value equations. They're pretty simple. Remember to isolate, okay, never distribute. I know it sounds tempting to do, but do not distribute. Do not just distribute this over the absolute value, because it may save you time. For example, here, isolate it first. That may save you time, so you don't have to do all of this and check this and that. So always isolate first. In other words, write the equation in standard form. Only the absolute value on one side and some number k on the other side. Based on k, you will know in advance whether to continue solving or not. If you choose the long way, if you distribute and try to solve, it's going to be a long way, and you may not even find all the solutions. If you have two solutions, for example, you may only find one, and or if you have no solution, you may waste time finding the solution and checking it just to find out that it doesn't work. So that's the main idea. Isolate first and check based on K, check how many solutions you have. Okay, everybody, does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, everyone, any questions, any confusions? That's
Nope,
pretty much it
follow.
for this lesson. Pretty simple lesson here. You know, if you have any questions, everybody, before I'll probably give you some practice problems now. Okay, so if there are no questions, let me write down a few problems just like these for you to practice. Okay, so solve for x. So that's what the question normally says when you have this sort of equation. Solve for x. 4x. Two x plus 6, and maybe some number here. Okay, and maybe another one.
We should do it now.
Yep, this is practice. So everybody, we'll give it a try right now. I'll give you a few minutes to do it. So 3x plus or minus 12. All right, and another one, the last one here would be 11x. 11x minus 5 and 9x plus 1. All right, so that should be pretty quick. Maybe a first one, just try to do this first one first, simple one, x equals 9. Start with this one first, then do the other ones. Most of these can take you literally seconds. A couple of them may take you a minute or two. All right, so give this a try. Give you about, still have time, so I'll give you at least maybe 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes. And this is the best part. This is the part where you actually test yourself, see if you got it or not. So you should understand it now. If you don't understand it now, you may never get it. So give it a try, check the examples and steps, and we'll go over this together in a few minutes. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes, everybody. Everybody, are you done?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody else?
Yes. Yeah, I'm done.
Everyone done? Okay. How was it? What was the
I just want to check one problem.
okay?
It's the 3x minus 12 one.
Okay.
So whenever you get to that one, I would like to see it.
All right. All right. So let's go over this, everybody. If you're done. So the first problem here. What are the solutions here, if any?
Two solution. The first one, yeah, two solution.
Okay. What are the solutions?
X equals 6 and x equal -2.
Talking about this one, right?
Yeah.
The first one, x equals 9.
No, yes.
Didn't see that number.
Yeah,
Yes.
added it at the end. So
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
X
I did not
equals
see that.
9.
Me either.
I did not see
Okay.
that one. That was so small.
okay. So
I
x
want-
equals 9, or x is
Yeah, x equal 9.
-9.
Negative 9.
And for this one, what was it again?
I got x equal 6
6.
and x
Okay.
equal -2.
Okay, everybody agrees on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if you got something different, let me know. What about here?
I
No
got
solution.
no solution
solution.
for it.
That's right. If you move this over, or if you
It's gonna
subtract
be
8,
-6.
that's right. It will be no solution because you end up with negative k. Right.
And I have two solutions for this one, but
Okay, so let's work this one out. What do we do first?
you know,
Move
So,
10
yeah.
to
it's gonna be like -5. No, it's
Okay,
gonna
so
be
then-
like 8. Yeah, 2, absolute 3, yeah.
Negative
8.
Okay,
No.
so they
8
cancel.
minus
Oh, +8.
Positive.
Positive
8.
eight.
Yeah.
All right,
8.
and
So
then
now divide by 2.
okay,
4.
So it's gonna be like absolute 3x, 4.
that's right. So this is
Then
standard
add
form.
12.
The standard form is gonna give you 2 solutions.
That's right. So because we have a positive k here, so we're gonna have 2 solutions. So we're gonna write 2 solutions, one with positive and one with negative. So +4, the other one 3x minus 12 equals -4. What was the solution here?
I
Add 12.
got 16
12?
or
16
16
16.
over
under 3.
The final answer, what is it?
I got 16 over 3 for this
16.
one.
3.
Like this, everybody?
And the second one, I got 8 over 3.
8 over 3. Okay, everybody got the same? Everyone, did you get the same
Yes.
answers here? All right, so again, the rest is just simple first degree. The last one here with 2 absolute values. So we
Yeah,
need 2
that's-
equations.
2 equation.
First equation is,
The first one equal x equal 3, and the second one is x equal 1 over 5.
okay, so x here is 3. Basically, just remove the absolute value, and another equation would be the same thing with a minus here. So 11x minus 5 is 9x plus 1. Okay, so you said 3 here. What did you get for this one?
X equal 1
1
over
over
1
5.
5.
over 5.
Oh, okay, seems like everybody got the same thing. Okay, so again, absolute value equations are pretty simple, but again, make sure you know how to solve first degree equations, which we did last time. But 80% of this, basically, what 90% of it was done last time. Only new thing today is the absolute value. Okay, everybody, any questions about this practice or anything?